Hi and welcome to this tutorial from Unreal Engine 4. In this tutorial we're going to take a look at the process of building Unreal Engine from Github Source to enable us to activate the ability to deploy our mobile game projects using Open GL ES3.1 and the Google Android extension pack. What this means is we'll be able to utilize the powerful hardware within the Nvidia Shield Tablet to allow us to render our games with a similar level of graphical fidelity to that which was shown off in the Rivalry demo by Epic Games a short while ago. What I'm going to do in this tutorial is take you through the process of the things that you need to have set up on your PC to allow you to deploy your Android game projects onto your Nvidia Shield tablet with hopefully a similar level of quality. So with that said, let's have a look at what we've got to do. Okay, so I have a version of Unreal Engine open here which is 4.7.3. Now as of 4.7, I believe was when it was first implemented, you could start to utilize the ability to deploy your game projects over to Shield Tablet utilizing all of the really cool rendering options. Now this is just the standard version of the engine which you can download through your Unreal Engine launcher, but if you can have a look inside the options in here, if we go and have a look in here and have a look to package our project for Android, we don't have any option at the bottom here for what would say ES3.1 and AEP. Unfortunately, as I said before, we've actually got to build this from Github Source to do that. It isn't too difficult at all, so we'll take a look at doing that in a moment, but just so you know, in here, if you have a look inside your project settings and then just scroll down to Android as a platform, you'll notice that there's this build section here. There is support Open GL ES3.1 plus AEP. Okay, if we hover over that, you'll notice that it says this requires Github Source. So all this is telling us is that we've just got to go and follow these simple steps just to get a build set up from the source content up on GitHub. It's a very simple process, so I'm going to take you through that in this tutorial, as well as some steps for people who might be new to Android development, who might have a Shield tablet, who might be interested in having a look at getting some content onto it and having a play around with that as a platform for development. And it is really fun to use as well. So let's have a quick look. So all we're going to do now is I'm just going to jump back to my web browser for a moment. There's a few prerequisites that you're going to require to actually get on with doing this. The first one that you're going to need is obviously to download a copy of Visual Studio. So you can grab a copy of Visual Studio Community for free. So if you just go to visualstudio.com, you'll be able to find it from there. Now just download and install that. If you are part of a company or if you're intending on using it for commercial purposes, just check the EULA as well. But it is free to everyone if you just go to the website and download it. So what I recommend is that you download and install that. I already have Visual Studio installed on my machine, so I don't need to go through that step. The next one that you'll be required to do is to install something called the Tegra Android Development Pack. You can go and grab the components for this separately, but this is a really awesome, convenient way of grabbing all of the content that you'll need for Android development. If you download that, you might need to sign or register on the website through the Nvidia Games Works section. But all you need to do is download that and install that. I recommend, personally recommend doing a full install. There's two options. You can do like a standard or a full install. I recommend doing a full install. It will take up a little bit more space on your disk, but I find that it just kind of brute forces everything onto your machine and saves you a little bit of time going through and like downloading particular sections through the content manager or through the Android manager in here. So I mean, yeah, I would recommend installing that as a full install. That'll help you out. So you'll need that. That should install things such as your USB driver for your Shield tablet, all the things that you need to make sure that your device is set up. So once that's done and you've got everything installed, you've done a full install of the Tegra Android Development Pack, what you'll need to do is enable your device for developer mode on your Google in your Google device, and to do that, all you do is just go to About Tablet and then just tap on the build number until it tells you that you are a developer. Again, on your tablet, if you just go back into your options or in your settings again, you should see a fresh tab then that says Developer Options. Just make sure that you pop on USB debugging, and I also like to tag Stay Awake. Plug your Shield tablet in through the USB. It should come up with a message on your screen. If I just quickly just unplug and plug mine in, just so I can read the message to you. It says Allow USB debugging. All you need to do is just tap OK for that. Once you've got that plugged in, and once you've got your Tegra Android Development Pack installed, if you just go and type CMD for command in here, you can check to see whether or not your tablet is actually recognized and attached to the system by typing in here ADB devices, and then it will tell you here, it says like list of devices attached. It will give you a serial number for the device, and then it will say device. If I do that again with me just unplugging my tablet, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, so you'll know the difference between the two. So there you see. So before, when we had the device attached, obviously it gave us a serial number and told us device here. If we unplug it, it won't list that device in there any longer. So that's how you can tell whether or not everything's been installed correctly and in the right place. So to see whether or not your PC is picking that up. Okay, so yeah, that's what you'll need to do. Those are the first two parts the first few little bits that you'll need to do. So you need to install Visual Studio so that we've got that. You'll need to install the Tegra Android Development Pack and install. I would recommend installing it as a full install. That's just personal preference. You can use the manager that installs with it to download individual components. But I just find it easier. I've just used a brute force approach and just install the whole thing. It's not. I don't think it's huge once it's installed anyway. But yeah, that's quite useful. You'll also need to make sure that you set up developer mode, or enable yourself as a developer on your device. You'll need to set up or enable USB debugging, and also stay awake. That's something that I personally like, so I don't have to keep on unlocking my screen on my device when I'm doing development. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So those are the things that you need to do initially. So that's it for this part. So in the next part, we'll just have a look at what we need to start doing with GitHub. Okay, so the next stage is getting everything set up for GitHub and getting access to the source code for the engine so that we can compile a version of Unreal Engine. So all you need to do is follow this guide on here, which is for how to set up GitHub, or what is GitHub. The page is called on the Unreal Engine 4 docs, and it just gives you the kind of a brief overview of how you go about accessing GitHub and how you link that to your account, and a few other steps there. Once you've sorted that out and you've registered on GitHub and you've got a username, what you'll need to do is just pop into your user, and under your organizations, for myself, I've actually got this section here for Epic Games. So if I just click on that, what I should then be able to do is just I'll pop into this section here, which will give me the option to have a look at Unreal Engine. What you'll want to do actually before this, sorry, I've got slightly ahead of myself here, is you'll also want to install the desktop app for or the desktop program for GitHub. Just install that onto your machine, and then all you'll need to do is select a branch of the engine. So we're going to be working with 4.7, so if I just click on 4.7 here, what we get the option to do then is clone to desktop is one way of doing it. So I'm just going to click on here, I'm just going to click launch application, and then that will launch my my editor, my GitHub application. I'm just going to come down here and I'm just going to find my my GitHub folder inside of my documents. I'm just going to click OK, and then inside of here it will tell me that it is then cloning into a folder called Unreal Engine. It will download all of the content. Once that's downloaded, I'll come back to the video and I will talk you through the next steps. So all you're going to have to do, as I say, is just have a read of the guide for how to go about setting up or linking GitHub if you haven't already done this. Some people probably will do, just a little bit of a heads up for folks who haven't encountered this yet. You'll then need to find the branch of 4.7 after you've installed your desktop application for GitHub, and you click once you've logged in on your desktop application. All you'll need to do is just clone in desktop, and then that will give you the option, as you just saw a moment ago, to choose a folder to put that in, and then it will spend some time just downloading that into your GitHub folder. Okay, so just going to give that a moment, and I will be right back. Okay, so when GitHub's actually finished downloading all the content that you need initially, you should be left with something that looks a little bit like this inside your GitHub window. So where it has put all of the content for this is inside of Documents, is where I chose it, inside of this GitHub folder. And I have a subfolder in here called Unreal Engine. So inside of my Documents I've got GitHub, then Unreal Engine, and then there's some content inside of here. The next thing you need to do, again, which is a little bit of a wait, is you just need to click on this setup here, and what that will do is it will run this bat file, and it will download the content for the engine. So what we'll just do again is I'm just going to pause the video just while this downloads the remaining content for the engine, and once it's completed I'll come back and discuss the next steps for you. Okay, so that's finished downloading now, so the setup bat file has completed what it's doing. So that's downloaded a whole load of content into my Unreal Engine directory in GitHub. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to have a look at this next bat file that we need to run, which is this generate project file. So I'm just going to double click on this, and what it will do is it will tell us that it's setting up Unreal Engine for project files, and then it will have created our Visual Studio solutions. So if I double click on this, this is actually our Visual Studio solution for the engine. So let's just get that out of the way. So it's just going to have a look through our solution and open that up. Now the first thing we need to do is we actually need to build the editor. Okay, so up here we need to make sure we're in Development Editor for Win64, and then what you need to do is you'll need to right click and build this part here. So if you just right click on here and just click build, what that will then do is it will start to build the engine from source, and what we'll do is we'll see it here, it's just starting to work its way through. So all being well, what will happen is that will come up with a completed message at the end, and then what we'll do is we'll have a look at the next stage in this process, which is going to be doing some ini file edits and then compiling the engine ready for development for Android. Okay, so as soon as that's completed I will pop back and continue with this. When Visual Studio's finished compiling Development Editor Win64, you should see something in your output window at the bottom here very similar to what I have, which just says build 1 succeeded. That just lets you know that it has actually built the editor, and that's all finished and has been successful. So the next thing we need to have a look at is editing an ini file. What this will do is it will give us the option to then package our Android games for ES3.1 and AEP, and also preview them that way as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to minimize this for a moment, and then inside of my directory here for Unreal Engine, you'll notice I'm still in my GitHub directory. If I just navigate over to Engine and then go to Config, you'll see that there is a ini file in here called baseengine.ini. All I need to do is just open that up. I'm just going to make this slightly larger on the left here. And what we're looking for is we're looking for a specific line in here, which is bbuild for ES3.1. So all I'm going to do is just hit Control F and just go for ES3.1. Have a look for that, and that should find that instantly. And you'll see down here now that there's this bbuild for ES3.1 equals false. So I'm just going to delete the false out just for a second. I'm just going to name that true and save it. So let's give that another go. There we go. You'll notice as well there is one up here which is bbuild for ES2 equals true. Now I've seen some advice from other users on the answer sub which says to set this to false. Now I haven't encountered any issues when working with my Shield tablet by leaving this as true. So I'm going to for now, but there is advice out there that says that you should change that flag over to false when developing for your Shield tablet. So if you do encounter any issues, just come back and have a look at that, just so that just in case might have given some poor advice there for a moment. But yeah, you basically want to change this over to bbuild for ES3.1 equals true. So that's pretty much everything we've got to do there. So I'm just going to save that again, just for argument's sake. I'm just going to close this down and go back to Visual Studio. Now, the next thing we need to do is we actually need to change the solution configuration up here over to development. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to compile the engine again now for development Win64 initially. So all I'm going to do is just right click on here and I'm just going to click build. And then it will start our build process again. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to stop the video here for a moment, just to wait for this to compile, and I will come back as soon as it is finished. Okay, so when Visual Studio is finished compiling development Win64, you should have something that looks like this again in the output window with build 1 succeeded. What you then need to do is you actually need to come over here and have a look at your solution platforms and change this over to Android. Now if you've installed the Tegra Android development pack, you'll probably see Tegra Android up here. So if you just click on that there to bring up Tegra Android, and then the next thing and the last thing that we have to do for this now is just right click on here and click build again. And what this will do is it will start to compile again in development, but for Tegra Android this time. Now keep your eye on this section down here. You should start to see some references pop up for ES3.1 here, just to let you know what's that everything's working okay. So what I'm going to do again is I'm just going to pause the video here just once more, and then I'll come back to this once it has finished compiling. Okay, so back in Visual Studio, it's now finished compiling for development Tegra Android. It might say Android depending on how you've set up your development environment for developing for Android now. So down here in your outputs window here, you should see build 1 succeeded again, just to let you know that that's been successful. If you just scroll up through this list again, you should see some entries, like I was saying before, for ES3.1, just to let you know that it has actually been compiling in the background there. So let's just minimize this for a moment, and inside of our GitHub directory for our engine, let's just go to the engine folder and go to binaries and Win64, and we can have a look inside the editor to make sure that the features that were grayed out we've now got access to. So let's just scroll down here and go and find UE4 editor. We'll fire that up. I'm just going to create a quick project in just a moment just so that we can double check this. Okay, so I'm just going to create a new project. I'll change this over to a mobile project. I'm just going to call this test. We'll have a top-down project for this one. So just click create project there. Hopefully this won't take too long to load on my machine. Okay. Right. Awesome. So now we can easily check this. So if we just go to Edit, Project Settings, and then we scroll down to Platforms and click on Android. I'm just going to click Configure now, just quickly. And then if we scroll down here, you should see this build option, and now we have access to this support Open GL ES3.1 plus AEP. So that's our Open GL ES3.1 plus Android extension pack. And that's already ticked, so that is indeed active. That means that we can start to package our projects as well. So if we go to Package Project here in Android, you can now see that we can package our projects for OpenGL ES3.1 and the Android extension pack, which is awesome. So that means that we can use all the features that you saw inside of the Rivalry demo that I showed you a little while ago earlier in the tutorial. So yeah, so you can have fun developing projects for Shield Tablet. It's really cool and really fun to develop for as a platform, and you'll see some really impressive stuff when using UB4 with it as well. Just one more thing to note, just to point you in the direction of something else that you might want to take a look at with this. There is a really awesome presentation on YouTube. You can find it through the Unreal Engine YouTube channel. It's called How to Scale Down and Not Get Caught. So it's a technical presentation for the rivalry demo that we had we quickly saw at the start of this tutorial, and there's some really interesting information here. So it's talking about how to scale your content to get the most bang for your buck, really. So to get the best possible visuals out of the device, and there's some really useful console variables and other things that you can use in there for profiling that are really helpful. So I recommend having a watch through that. It's quite a long presentation, so it's a really good one to sit down and have maybe a drink with while you watch it. But there's some really useful information in it. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial. I hope that you find it useful and helpful. Yeah, so I hope you managed to get your content onto your device, and yeah, I hope it's been good for you. Thanks.